Hello everyone, this is Hazel Almond, and this is part 2 of the digital artist tutorial. And last time I left you off, we had just finished inking in Paint Tool SAI, and I had to stop the video last time because I was getting really tired. So here's our new canvas, our Photoshop document that we produced in Paint Tool SAI. Gonna open this up. Right. And as you can see, I went in and added some eyebrows. Just a quick little thing that I had forgotten using the same techniques. So in case you were wondering, hey, those are new, that's why. Alright, so we have our line art, and it looks pretty good, so we're going to get started on coloring. Right, so to help us out here, I'm going to make a new layer. Right, and I'm going to pick white, fill bucket, which is G, the shortcut tool key G, that's the gradient. Right, and now we can see our line art a little bit more clearer. We can also go in and fix up like these little tiny details, so we're going to go ahead and do that. Won't take long with our eraser tool. Just gently clean up. Whoops. Have to make sure that I'm on the line art layer. Silly me. As you can see, these lines, these little details. Ah. Can't believe it wasn't on black. There we go, much better. Okay, and we're gonna go ahead and move on. I know there's quite a few things that I want to tweak, but you know, for the sake of this tutorial, let's get moving. Right, so coloring. We're gonna make a new layer. We're gonna actually make sure that all of our colors are gonna go underneath the line work layer. So I'm gonna go ahead and lock it so we don't accidentally mess it up. And since this is fan art and I want to make sure the colors are correctly, I'm gonna go ahead and pull up a reference. But if you were working on an original character, you can go ahead and pick any color you want. But I just want to make sure that I have the correct colors for Cerno, so I'm just going to pull her up real quick. Okay. I'm going to create just a new one and paste it onto the canvas. And I'm just going to use her for color reference. So I have the eyedropper tool, or yeah, that popped up because I have a high CPI or CPU usage, only because when I reviewed the last tutorial, the quality wasn't that great. So this tutorial, it's actually running on a high definition quality, so hopefully when we're all done, it should look a little better and you can see a little bit better of what we're doing. So anyways, continuing on, I have I dropped Cerno's hair, right? And I'm going to go with the wand tool, or W, right? And I'm going to go back to the line art layer, and I'm going to go and select a part of her hair. And I'm actually going to hold down the Shift key. And as you can see, the wand tool now has a plus sign, and that's going to add selections. So I'm just going to go ahead and select all the parts of Cerno's hair. Okay. Now that we have it selected, we're actually going to expand this a little bit. So I'm going to show you how to do it the long ways. You go to Select, Modify, Expand. Now as you can see, the shortcut for My version is Alt Central and right bracket, but I guess this is different for every user, and you can go ahead and make your own shortcut keys, but again, for another day. So this is how you do it the long way. Expand, and I'm actually going to expand it by 1 pixel, but you can depending on how large you're working, you'll adjust the number, so just find which one you like, but you definitely want to expand it. And what that does is our selection actually got bigger. And this is going to save a lot of time of coloring. So now that we have it expanded, we're going to go back to the fill bucket. And I'm going to layer, I like to name my layers so I don't get confused. So, right, and there we go. And then I'm going to go Control D, that deselects. And now we have Sir Nose hair, or the flat anyways, right? And we can actually go in and touch up all the places that the fill bucket might have missed. But because we expanded, we don't actually have to touch up that much, just little here and there on the corners of the hair, but that actually looks pretty good. Okay, Sir Nose hair. Gonna make a new layer. We'll label it skin. Again, wand tool. Go back, make sure you're on the line art layer. Right. And then go in with the brush tool and miss some of the areas where the fill bucket might have missed. But again, not too much. Did pretty good job. Okay. So yeah, do you see how quickly this is going rather than going in and doing it with the brush tool? So we're saving a lot of time by doing this. Okay, we're all done with all of our flats, and that didn't take too much time at all. So now that we're done with all of our flat coloring, we're going to go ahead and start shading. And again, everyone has their own personal preference on how they shade. This is just one way. Okay, so I'm going to go hair. And I'm actually going to turn this into a mask. So the way we do it is we're going to use the select all that, right? If I remember this correctly, wait, it's been a while since I've done this, so create a new layer, create mask, there we go. And so this will actually enable us, I'll show you, if I take black and I There we go. See, we're using white, but you see how I'm coloring very violently, but it only affects the hair? This will make coloring go by a lot faster if you have it masked. So let me show you. Let's do that again because I kind of got a little bit mixed up there. So I'm going to delete this. So we're going to select our hair. And what I did is I just right clicked and then select pixels, and that just selects all of the stuff that's on that layer. All right, and then I'm going to make a new layer, and I'm going to label it hair. Oops. Hair shadow. And I'm going to go ahead and make it a mask. All right. And I'm going to click this little box over here. Right. And I'm actually going to click for the hair color again, which is this nice, lovely blue. And just one moment, folks. I think I might have dropped my pen tablet. Found it. All right, so with pen in hand, we're going to go ahead with the mouse. And I'm just going to freeform this. Gonna make sure that the layer style is on multiply. I'm just gonna go ahead and kind of free fall this inking. I decided that I want my light source to be coming from this direction. And again, it's just all about personal preference and technique and practice about where you want these shadow lines to go. Again, I'm using the bracket tools to make the tool larger or smaller. And I can use the eraser tool to go in and take some of this out relatively quickly. Okay, so for the most part that looks pretty good. Again, it's not perfect. This is just, you know, my personal style and my personal preference. Just kind of cleaning up these lines a little bit, making them a little bit sharp. Again, some people like to use like the lasso tool technique, make these lines really clean and crisp. But I like the organic freedom of the brush tool, so this is how I usually do my shading. Sometimes if I'm feeling ambitious and I really want it to look nice, I'll use the lasso tool or just spend hours upon, well, a good amount of time just cleaning it up with the eraser. So, alright, so we're done with the hair, so let's move on to the skin. Well, we'll come back to the hair later for the highlights, but for now let's move on to the skin. So we're going to select, right? We're going to make a new layer, and we're going to label it Skin Shadow. And I'm just going to take the eyedropper tool and I'm going to sample our current skin color. Right? Right? Make sure we make a mask. Right? Gonna make sure this little box here is selected. And our layer style is on multiply. right? And going in with the brush tool, we're going to go ahead and start shading. Okay. So again, not too much in there. Okay. Now let's move on to the bow. So we're going to select pixels, create a new layer, create mask, right? Oops. Guess we could eyedropper. Make sure we're on the bow eyedropper, right? Go back to our bow shadow. Make sure it's on multiply. Make sure we hit this box right here. Well, we're on that box. I should really know the name, but I don't. All right, go in with our brush tool. So again, that looks pretty good. So let's move on. Well, I'm not going to fiddle with that too much because, again, eyes are all personal preference. I'll probably go back after this tutorial is over and fix those eyes up a bit. But I am going to show you how I personally do the hair highlights, which is the last thing. So I'm going to do a new layer, and I'm going to label it hair lights. It's kind of like a cross between hair highlights and, right? So I'm going to take white, and just like we did the shadows for the hair, again, I'm just going to free fall it. So yeah, it's really hard to like find a particular style and stick with it. Being consistent can be very hard because when you're a student, you're always learning, and so you always want to try new things. So if you look through my gallery and you wonder why like nothing matches, it's because I'm always trying new things. Like when I first started digital painting, my first medium was, what was it? Corel Painter, yes. And it's really great for getting soft shading and very traditional like painting. It's like you can use like watercolor. It's very beautiful to blend things in. And then I got Photoshop, and there was a lot of tutorials on the internet about how to color. I found that hard shading, cell shading, was easier to do on Photoshop. so I just kind of stuck with the cell shading style after a while. I did experiment using the filters, using like the blurring, so you can see some of my earlier Photoshop pieces. It still looks soft shaded, but it's actually just a blur feature, a blur filter. Alright, and we're going to lower the opacity. Oops. And there we have a digitally colored Cerno's head. And I guess that wraps it up for tutorial. And thank you, and we'll see you in next time.